Welcome to Balanced Beauty Talks, the podcast where we redefine skin health through a holistic lens.
I'm Natasha, an esthetician and nutritional practitioner passionate about helping you nourish your skin from the inside out.
I'm Dr. Khadija, an esthetician and naturopathic doctor here to explore the natural pathways to radiant skin.
And I'm Alicia, an esthetician and skincare enthusiast. Together, we're diving deep into the world of aesthetics, merging modern treatments with internal wellness so you can achieve long-lasting results without compromising your health.
Whether you're a seasoned professional looking to elevate your practice or someone seeking effective solutions for conditions like acne, you're in the right place.
Join us as we share expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical tips that empower you to embrace a truly balanced approach to beauty.
So get cozy and prepare to transform the way you think about skincare.
Welcome to Balanced Beauty Talks.
Please note that the information provided in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast. Your health and well-being are important, and we encourage you to make informed decisions.
Welcome back to Balanced Beauty Talks. Today we're exploring a topic that comes up a lot when working with skin internally, balancing hormones. Seed cycling is a natural way to support hormones using specific seeds during different phases of the menstrual cycle. But does it really work? And how can you incorporate it into your daily routine? Today, we're going to talk all about seed cycling and how it can support your hormones. Before we dive into seed cycling, can you give us an overview of the hormones in the menstrual cycle?
Yeah. Okay. So, just to keep it simple, we'll say that a menstrual cycle is about 28 days long. That is going to be different for everyone. But again, to keep it simple, we'll say that there's two phases of the cycle. There's your follicular phase, and then there's your luteal phase. So from day 1 till about day 14, you're in your follicular phase. And then from about day 15 to day 28, you're in your luteal phase. So the main differences are that in the follicular phase, you are developing a follicle. A follicle is basically a sac that is surrounding an immature egg. So the point of the follicular phase is to mature the egg and then eventually release the egg. So when that follicle is developing, there is this production of estrogen. So in the first half of your cycle, in your follicular phase, the main hormone that is dominant is your estrogen. It's not very high, but there is some production of estrogen. As you get closer to ovulation, so ovulation could be considered its own phase, but for now we'll keep it under the follicular phase. Ovulation is basically the release of the egg. There's a bunch of hormones that are kind of going up at that time, your ovulatory hormones. But you also have a bit of a rise of testosterone around that time. And then once the egg releases, you're going into your luteal phase. Your luteal phase, the main hormone that is present in the luteal phase is progesterone. And the reason it's called the luteal phase is after the egg is released, the follicle that was there now becomes something called the corpus luteum. And that is primarily responsible for producing the progesterone. So you still have estrogen going up as well. They don't go up the same. So progesterone and estrogen don't rise the same level. But what we're looking at here is kind of the difference between the two hormones. And we really, really want to focus on supporting your progesterone because that is the time when you are producing progesterone. So estrogen and progesterone vary slightly. Estrogen can be a very happy hormone. It's a really important hormone. Progesterone, I'd say, is more like calming for the nervous system because it can actually convert into a neurotransmitter, GABA. So we want to make sure that there is a balance between both. And so often when there is hormonal imbalances, we're looking at something that is happening between estrogen and progesterone in relation to each other. But yeah, that's kind of basically the main hormones that are occurring in both phases of the cycle. And then right at the end of the luteal phase, you kind of go back into day 1. And day 1 would be the beginning of menses or the period. And that's when everything drops. So that is what allows for a period to occur. And then you go back through the whole cycle again.
Okay. So what exactly is seed cycling and how does it support the natural hormone shifts?
So seed cycling is the use of specific seeds at certain times of the month to help support those different hormonal phases that Khadija broke down for us. So it's actually something that's been widely used by naturopathic doctors and holistic nutrition, functional medicine doctors as a really simple and safe way to try and balance those hormones without using medication or supplementation even. So from days 1 to 14 in that follicular phase, again, day 1 being the first day of your period, it's recommended to do 1 tablespoon of flaxseed and 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds because those particular seeds have different nutrients, fatty acids, and lignans that really help balance and support the hormones in that phase. And so with the flax seeds being a phytoestrogen, it can actually mimic estrogen, which helps when there are low estrogen symptoms. The lignans actually act the same way as a fiber, which helps to remove any excess. And overall, you just get a lot of assistance in regulating those estrogen levels in that phase. Pumpkin seeds are really high in zinc, which are really helpful and supportive in supporting progesterone and ovulation. And then both seeds provide omega-3 fatty acids that really help to reduce inflammation in that phase because we all know we definitely feel that. And then in the luteal phase, so days 15 to 28, you want to use sunflower and sesame seeds. Again, 1 to 2 tablespoons of each. Sunflower seeds are really high in vitamin E and selenium, so that really helps support progesterone levels. And then sesame seeds are really high in lignans again, so those fibers that really help to remove excess. So this is really fun to incorporate in salads, in smoothies. You can get creative making little granola bars or like your homemade Lara type bars. Those are all really fun ways to have it. It doesn't just have to be a tablespoon and off you go. You can be really fun and creative with it. But it's really a helpful strategy to supporting hormones. And it can also be done when you are not balanced in a way that will help to support eventually getting there. But consistency is key. So like, what would you recommend, let's say, if someone was super off balance, they haven't had their period, say, in 2 months, where would you start them in that seed cycling process?
I mean, I honestly typically just start from the beginning. If they haven't had a cycle, then we kind of want to mimic a cycle. So some people, even though they haven't had a cycle, they still have some symptoms of potentially having like PMS. So then we can kind of gauge, okay, then maybe their cycle would typically be coming around this point. So then we kind of start day 1 from then. But some people have nothing and they've just not been cycling for a while. So I just honestly pick up and start them on day 1 and act like it would be a 28-day cycle. I don't know if you do it differently, but I would just mimic it as if it was a 28-day cycle and continue to do that.
Yeah, I've done it where I've just done the luteal phase until they got their period, and then we started it on day 1. But that's a good point. Like starting from the beginning, just to create that cycle the same way for example, birth control would.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So is this something that someone could do if they were taking birth control, or is it really not effective if they're already on a birth control?
My personal humble opinion would be the birth control is just so powerful that, I mean, there's definitely reason to still have these seeds just health-wise because they provide many nutritional benefits. But I think to try and overpower a birth control pill with it would be an endless battle.
Yeah. I mean, the birth control shuts down ovulation, so you're not producing any of these hormones. So using it as like hormone balancing wouldn't make sense. But like using it as detoxification or just general nutritional support, because you are also, this is great nutritional support because you can replenish some like vitamins and minerals that are depleted by the pill. So I would use it that way and less for like balancing hormones.
So maybe if someone was thinking about coming off of birth control, this is a really nice way to support and kind of regulate their hormones.
I think it would be beautiful if someone started doing that about 3 months before they planned, so they could start to create some regular patterns and habits just through having it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be really helpful.
And is it important, the quality of seed? Do they need to be raw? Can they be roasted? Does it make a difference? Time of day?
I think getting it in general is the most important thing. Raw is typically best. There's less tampering with the nutritional value, but get it in general.
Yeah. The only one I would say like with flaxseed is you don't want to, like, it's better to have a ground flax than the whole flax. And so the optimal idea it would be to grind your seeds yourself because you get that like fresh release of the oils. But if you can't do that, then you can buy store-bought, but you should always keep your ground flax in the freezer, not in the fridge, freezer. Because it preserves the oils a lot better. So the only one I'm really like particular with is the flax. Everything else,
How do you grind your own flax?
Just get a little, like a coffee grinder.
Okay.
Yeah.
A
magic bullet or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's helpful. So potential benefits of seed cycling and who's going to see the most improvement?
I mean, it depends because people can benefit from it. There's kind of different stages. So there's the patient who comes in who is very new to all of this and who maybe wants to do a little bit of nutrition and has that possibly a bit of like hormonal imbalance. I feel like that's like a very beneficial thing to include because it introduces them to taking care of themselves through their food, through making like small adjustments that are relatively easy to do. So I like to use it for that case, but I'd say people who benefit from it the most are people who are maybe have really irregular cycles. We use it a lot with acne because we see, and PCOS is a big picture of what we see with acne. So that plus signs of estrogen dominance, I tend to use it a lot with that just because you get so much support with the estrogen detoxification. So yeah, those are the most.
And even just those that deal with a lot of PMS symptoms, it can really help to alleviate those as well.
Okay. So would this be beneficial for sort of younger girls who are just starting their cycle, maybe girls like under 18 that are having issues with irregular cycle or really heavy cramping, acne?
Yeah, I think it could be helpful because it's like a gentle way to support the hormones without having to jump into stronger supplements. Younger women, I tend to try and wait a bit before we introduce some of the stronger supplements. I mean, there are things you can do supplementation wise, but diet is just a really nice way to introduce hormone support or wellness for younger women.
And a lot of younger women are not super compliant with taking supplementation regularly. So at least with seeds, you can get a little bit more creative. If they still live at home, if it's your daughter, you can create some granola bars, some smoothies for them in the morning, make sure that they're getting those in that way. And yeah, they're going to be digested and assimilated a lot better as well than some supplementation. So.
Yeah. And they're going through a lot of hormonal changes at that time, which is why it's nice to do something like this. And there is a place for testing and all of that and looking deeper to see if there is a hormone imbalance. But a lot of the times it is just that transition period, especially early on, when the periods are just starting to kind of regulate and your hormones are like shooting up and down. Like it just takes a bit of time. So this is just something nice to add in before looking deeper.
Yeah. And then on that note, like on the other hand, you could also supplement to enhance what we're trying to accomplish here. Like in the first phase, days 1 to 14, you can add in your omega-3 fish oils. And then in the second phase, you can add in an evening primrose oil. And those are going to have similar, nutrients that are going to help support those specific hormones as well. So you can kick it up a notch. But for young girls, it's nice to just get them started with the seed cycling portion and then leave the supplements to when it's with somebody who can be a little bit more compliant.
Yeah.
So when we're talking a lot about like estrogen depletion, it kind of makes me think of like menopause. Is this something that can support women going through perimenopause as well?
I mean, it's not something I've used that often in perimenopause, but I'd say like similar because once you hit perimenopause, you're going through fluctuations again. So yeah, it could be nice to kind of you do go through a kind of a temporary estrogen dominance too. So it would be nice to kind of help mitigate some of those symptoms around that time. I wouldn't say it's going to be your top hormone balancer. I think at that point you do need the support of probably herbs and just more supplements, but it would be a nice way to just kind of gently support as you go through the transition.
Yeah.
Again, truthfully, I don't know why any woman wouldn't just do it.
It's beneficial for everybody.
Yeah. Is this something that, how quickly do you see results typically from something like this? Does it take a while?
Honestly, anytime you work with hormones, I always say give it at least 3 months, whether it's supplements or diet. And again, this is more of a gentle way of doing it. So it could take a little bit longer. And typically we're doing other things at the same time. But if this is all you're doing, then at least 3 months before you see something.
Another place this is really good and helpful is the women who are trying to conceive. A really great way to try and balance the hormones and improve progesterone so that there's more chance of a successful pregnancy. So
oh, that's really good to know. Yeah. Okay, so to sum it up, seed cycling is a gentle food-based approach to hormone balance, can help regulate your cycle, reduce PMS, and support skin health. Consistency is key. Daily intake is needed for best results. 1 to 2 tablespoons, ideally raw, stored in the freezer, and a great addition to holistic hormone supporting lifestyle. So what are some of your favorite ways, or do you guys have any recipes you want to share, or what are your favorite ways to incorporate
Yeah, we could include a
seeds.
recipe or two, maybe either a smoothie or an energy ball or something. So we'll include those in the notes. My go-to way, though, to have it is usually in yogurt. I love yogurt fruit and seeds. I like the little crunch in there. Again, though, if you're having flax, it must be ground. In salads, I love it as well. And smoothies. So.
Yeah, I was going to say smoothies. Smoothies are my favorite.
Okay.
Just throw everything in there. It's easy.
The easiest way for people to get it in, really.
Yeah,
So whatever works with your lifestyle, just do your best to incorporate it. Okay.
And if you're not that great at preparing fresh salads or making yourself a fresh smoothie every day, you can also prep on the weekends for the week and create balls or bars that you can freeze or put in the fridge. They stay good for the week, and they're just an easy grab and go so that you don't have to think about preparing anything with those seeds in them.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we hope you enjoyed this episode and our deep dive into seed cycling. If you try it, please let us know how it works for you. And if you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who you think might benefit from seed cycling. See you guys next time.